Hello, welcome to my rug. Welcome to a review of the Boldr Odyssey Freediver, and this is the black meteorite version. Whether it is actually meteorite, they say it is on the website, I don't know, but it's a very pretty dial and it's eye-catching is how I would describe it. I'll get it to catch the light later so that you can see. I'm going to briefly run through the specs, talk about some things I like, some things I don't like, and then a little bit about the brand as well, and a bit of a comparison on I don't have anything like this. This is quite a unique piece. Probably the closest mainstream would be a Seiko Samurai, would be a lot smaller. So specs. The website has this down as 40mm wide. I don't think that's true. I think that is the bezel width, and as you can see, here you've got this bit which protrudes, and possibly if you measure it from there, I got 41.5, but realistically this is a 42. Lug to lug I measure, because the lugs are odd and huge. I measure as 48, so it's not a particularly long watch, but it is a chunky watch at 14mm. There's no dome sapphire, it's flat and it sits in the case pretty well. It's all stainless steel, obviously, although it does look a bit like titanium or material that you'd use on a tank, maybe, because it's mostly this sort of satin. Whether that's bead blasted, I don't know. There are some little moments of interest on the case where you've got the chamfers which have been polished, so it does give the case a interesting feel. It doesn't feel like a normal stainless steel watch. Inside the watch is, I believe, a Meteo113 9000 series. So this is a high beat movement. It beats away at 28,800 hertz. It certainly has got a nice sweep to the second hand, and obviously you got the date there. Ceramic bezel insert, although I find some ceramic bezel inserts to be way too shiny, and this one has almost the look of aluminium. So it's not too shiny, but doesn't look anodized either. Fully loomed, well, apart from the date window. So loomed bezel, not just the pip, loomed numerals, and loomed hands and loomed pip, all in BGW9. Not the best glow I've ever seen, but pretty good. Sapphire crystal, blue AR coating, and there's some interest on the dial. They've got these sort of steel balls, if you like, at the hour markers, and then there's a tiny little orange accent at the top of the chapter ring at the 12 to match the second hand. And yeah, just let's get that dial into play. So each one is going to be unique, which is nice. But as I said, this is a tank. So I've got a 7.5 inch wrist, and I'll pop this on in a minute. And we should just quickly talk about the clasp. Very nice clasp, milled, lots and lots of adjustment. Oddly, there is no. So this is apparently a 300-meter diver watch. It has been ISO rated to 100 meters, but there's no. I mean, it doesn't bother me because this is the same as having a 4x4 Range Rover when you live in central London. I'm never gonna take this diving. But yeah, if you wanted to take this diving, then there's no extension. And if it does 300 meters, it's quite a capable watch. It's certainly screw down crown, screw down case back. There's a little bit of artwork on the back. And if you did want to change the strap, although this strap is really comfy, it's nice that you've got double quick release, so it will just pop on and pop off. Because I get the feeling, it almost looks like an integrated bracelet. So I get the feeling this would be a nightmare to refit if you didn't have those. But yeah, I wouldn't take it off. I'll just pop it on wrist and then you can see how it looks on me. So like I said, 7.5 inch wrist, and that's it on me. So if they're saying that this is a 40mm, that's crazy. It just does not wear like a 40mm. 42, yeah. It doesn't. The lugs are strange, aren't they? Because like I said, this looks like a tank to me. I do love this watch. I'm not trying to say I don't. I really, really like this watch. It is heavy, but it feels solid. No rattle. So, I did a bit of research on the brand, because I think that's quite important to note here. If you go for the RRP, which ranges from £660 to £705, it's worth noting that this is a Chinese-made watch. So it's got a Japanese movement. It's made in Hong Kong by a Singaporean company, and it's either assembled in Hong Kong or assembled in Singapore. It doesn't really say on this one, but I think this one's probably made and assembled in Hong Kong. I don't have a massive problem with that for the money I paid for this. I got this at a really good sale, really, really great, and for the money, there's very little which could compare with this. I love the high beat movement, and I've got no problem with it being a Miyota over, say, an SW200 or an ETA movement. I've got no problem with that. And if you compare it to, say, like I mentioned before, a Seiko Samurai, that's kind of got these large, bold flanks on it. You know, even for £800 with, say, a Seiko, you know, you're going to struggle to get one on a steel bracelet that has a sapphire crystal. It definitely won't have a high beat movement, although it probably will have the new, is it the 6R35 is the new movement, which is pretty good. This one also, sorry, is shockproof and anti-magnetic, apparently. There must be some case detail inside, which I haven't seen, but that's what they're saying. Yeah, you're not going to get that from a mainstream brand. You're not going to get that from a Seiko. You're not going to get this kind of spec watch with a Seiko, you're going to be spending £1,200 at the very least. So I'm thinking of the new MM200. Although I would arguably say the MM200 has a more interesting cushion case, but then it's not going to line up. One other thing I probably should mention is the bezel isn't particularly grippy. So it's got these sort of notches in it rather than teeth. And whilst it is a satisfying movement, it is sort of tricky. I mean, it's nice and tight. It's got a lovely audible click, but as you can see, I use this all the time to I use rotating bezels all the time to time things. I know I probably wouldn't use this one all the time. Lines up very well. So I will I keep this? Will I flip it? Definitely keep it. I've got nothing like this. Even if I had another diver on a bracelet, this would be unique. There wouldn't be. This looks like a titanium, like I said, but it's heavy. It's a robust watch. It's not a, you're never gonna get this under a suit cuff or whatever. But it's ever so comfy. The bracelet, you're gonna get a perfect fit on this. It's screw pins as well, incidentally. I found these screw pins to be slightly narrower than a lot of screw pins I've operated before, so I've had to change the screwdriver end on my little watch repair thing. So overall, if you can get this on sale, this is a fantastic watch. It hasn't got the provenance of, say, a Seiko or of, say, a Tissot C-Star or the Certina, but it is a lovely watch. It's unique. You're not going to find anything like it. But I would suggest that anything under, if your wrist is anything under 7 inches, this is going to look big. So if you want something with a lot of wrist presence, this is going to be the one. I mean, just to put it into perspective, if we plop it next to the Orient, it's roughly the same dimensions. It's 13.5mm thick, although it rises to 14.5 because I've got a domed sapphire on it, but around the edge, 13.5. 41.5 wide. The lug to lug is shorter, which is why it feels different. And I haven't got it on a metal bracelet because the metal bracelet on that is garbage. But I mean, just looking at the two of them, there's sort of no comparison really. They're so different. I know the time's wrong on this. I've not worn this for a couple of days. How very unprofessional. So overall, I love it. It's not what I expected. I don't know what I expected, but you've got to sort of see it to believe it. Get it in your hands. If you can get this on a deal, I think you'll be quite happy with the quality. And even though it's made in China, as it were, I think it's going to last. And anecdotally, I've heard good things about this brand and about the longevity of their pieces. And being that it's a Miyota movement, it's probably going to be one of those cheaper to buy a new one than to get it serviced in however long it takes for the movement to die. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you.